This is another episode of the Janus Oasis. I'm Nola Simon. I'm the host, and this is a solo episode. Today, I'm going to talk about communication. So, with the return to office, communication has become more important than it's ever been before, but you have to be really careful. So, people are open to hearing from employers. In fact, they want to hear from you. I've met so many people who actually don't know what the plans are, don't know how it's going to be conveyed, don't know when it's going to be conveyed. They're seeing some offices go back and they're not exactly sure what's happening with theirs. And so some employers are really sitting back, I think, to understand how other organizations are going to be successful with their plans. A lot of these are governments, they're not necessarily individual organizations, but those are coming. And so communication is really important. So if you have not actually started communicating, you want to consider how you're going to. And I'd really encourage you to lean into compassion and empathy. And you have to understand that a lot of people are perceiving a return to office as a loss. So a loss of autonomy, a loss of flexibility, a loss of time with the kids. They don't want to be stuck in traffic, loss of money. Gas is more expensive than it's ever been before. A lot of times they'll have to buy clothes, the cost of having to eat out, just even the time involved in planning all of that, getting organized. That's all a cost and a loss that they don't have when they're actually going to be at home. So you have to be really super empathetic. Recently, there was a poster that was generated by a property management firm. The purpose was to actually welcome people back to the office, but it emphasized what they lost. And one of them was a very sad dog looking just like he was missing his owner. And it said, "I bet your dog misses you." It created a hubbub around the world. And people were really angry. It blew up on Reddit, but then I saw it in the Los Angeles papers. I saw it in the UK papers. I saw people in Australia talking about it. And it really just emphasized that people are going to be losing out on things when you bring them back into the office. So it's really hard to reframe. How do you reframe when you haven't necessarily thought through the intention of what they're going to be doing when you get back to the office? So you really need to tie all of your communications back to your intention, and have you really thought that through? The other thing that you want to consider is the network that's involved in actually spreading the messages about coming back to the office. Is it a top-down message? Is it coming from the CEO? A lot of times that's the message that I'm hearing from people. We're coming back to the office because the CEO wants it. There's no real reason other than vague promises of better collaboration. But when people have successfully managed, for the most part, to do their work for the last 2 years, that's not really a great reason. So it needs to be more well thought out, but it also maybe needs to actually be spread through the company as well too. And can you actually tell stories? Because people are influenced by their network, and you may not perceive the CEO to really be part of your network. So yes, he's part of the hierarchy, but is he the person who's going to influence the person who's never actually met him before or even talked to him? That person's not going to be confiding in him. Really, on an individual personal level, the CEO doesn't have that type of influence. And remember, people make decisions one at a time. They look at all your messaging and they say, what's in it for me? And if you are not resonating with them, if you are not hitting the messaging right on, and you're actually leaning into more of why it's better for the company, why it's better for the executives, why it's better for the management, that everybody's back in the office, you've lost your audience because it's not about you. So that's really what I wanted to hit home with this little short podcast. You really have to be considering all viewpoints. And I would really highly encourage you to run a test. Bring in that red team, bring in the devil's advocates who are going to tell you straight before anything is published, and really talk to your people and be transparent about what you're trying to achieve, and talk to them about how you can actually make it more about them. And on that note, we're recording from home. So there's my dog, Sully. So that's going to be where I end it. But thank you again for joining us for another episode of the Janus Oasis.